I can speak for myself and my family that it has, it has, beside the fact that it has given me a sense of comfort to know that my wishes about my health care will be respected. It has also taken away from my family the burden of having to make a life-sustaining decision on my behalf. So it's such an important part of living is to plan for that particular time of life when I take control of my life. It's a sense of empowerment. And this is the kind of thing that we want to share with our community. We have a very diverse community that we work with. And it is something that we are working continuously on, educating the community and making sure that we're conducting a county-wide advanced care planning education outreach to ensure that the idea becomes culturally accepted to our diverse communities. It's still something that people, think that it's a bad omen to talk about something like that. But little by little, they're taking it into account and it's making a decision. It's making a difference. So I wanted to sort of like give you an example of the kind of the pros and cons of not having advanced care planning. I have a very good friend of mine, a professor actually, who had her mom was visiting with her, and she was at the time 92 years old, and on her way to the airport, leaving her home, she ended up with a stroke, and the stroke sort of made her totally paralyzed. And the hospital, when they went there, she was between life and death, and they highly recommended that they let her go. Because she had so many complications and so many things going with her, against her. And because she didn't have the power to decide whether or not her mother lives, she couldn't make that decision on her behalf. And of course, her brother and sisters, they went into arguments about, whether her mom should have a life-sustaining, additional effort or not, and they ended up because they didn't have the power of attorney, they didn't have the advanced care planning. She insisted on keeping her mom alive, and she lived, but she was semi-comatose. She lived for 3 extra years. She took care of her day and night. And she finally passed away a couple of months ago. But it has made such a huge impact in the family because there were still arguments about it. And if they had the advanced care planning in advance, none of this would have happened. But I guess this is an educational thing for all of us to learn from. We have another case where the person who decided on having the advanced care planning was one of the sons, her son, one of our client's son, and he has some knowledge of aging issues, and he advised his mom, even though his brother and sister thought it was bad omen and they fought with him, they still did the advanced care planning for her, and she made the decision whether or not, like in case of emergency, whether or not she wanted to extend her life, or and the time came when when she had to have surgery, and she was on life support, and it was her decision to let go. So they did let her go, and there was so much peace in the family, and the comfort of knowing that was their mother wishes, and it was an educational thing for the whole family. So the more we learn about the importance of advanced care planning, the more education the families get, the more benefit is going to be for the entire community. Hopefully this is something that we are going to continue to work on.
The Massachusetts Coalition for Serious Illness Care was founded back in 2016, and we started doing consumer experience research on advanced care planning at that point. A conversation cannot, ease the burden and create peace of mind for a person who might have to take off a lot of time to be a caregiver, to care for someone with serious illness. It will not kind of ease the burden of inequitable treatment and unmet needs. And so I think it was this sort of reflection that there was really like a basic believability bar that we weren't meeting with advanced care planning. It made us start realizing that, in our previous work, we'd asked, what's the best way to promote advanced care planning? And I think what we went through going into this research was realizing maybe that's not the right question. Maybe the right question is, how do we understand what people's needs and experiences are as a way to help us prioritize what we should be doing and what we should be telling them to do? We knew we needed to take a really different approach with this research. We knew we wanted to ask different questions in different ways, emphasizing really different experiences. So that's where Shirley and Tyrone came in. And I think, I can't even add up all the hours at this point that the three of us and four other members of our research team came into some of these conversations too, said about like going down to the minutiae of the wording of the ways that we ask questions. So Shirley was really adamant that we include asking people about fear, experiencing fear. Because she was like, it is so much of part of what it is to walk through a healthcare system as a person with serious illness, especially a person of color. And so there's one question in the survey that you could have just pulled straight from Shirley's mouth, which was, how often have you been afraid to speak up, ask questions, or disagree for fear that it might impact your care? There's another question that was really came from conversations with Shirley, was really about leaving appointments feeling unsure. So how often have you left an appointment feeling unsure about what was discussed, your medications, or what to do next? With Tyrone, so much of the conversation, he would constantly step us back and put all of this research into the bigger context of what has gone before and what will come ahead. And so that meant really about reminding ourselves that research is often a word that feels like it has been done to people as opposed to something that they have been part of. And so he was always reminding us to take care of the people who are even going to be participating in our survey, and especially participating in our online community discussion forums.
Martin Luther King Jr. once stated that of all of the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. These words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. really epitomizes the condition of healthcare for American Africans and other people who are racial ethnic in this nation. One of the challenges that we have is, how do we as health professionals, health plans, individuals who are part of the healthcare movement, and also community leaders and faith-based leaders, deal with the issue of the inequity in healthcare in our communities? One of the ways that this has been done in the past has been the use of surveys that come into our community and really focus on the results and not on the culture and not on the way we as people who are part of those communities really deal with issues of healthcare within our communities. Some surveys are done by researchers who are academicians. Other surveys are done by individuals who use systems and structures that are alien to our communities. One of the exciting tools that has been discovered recently in terms of surveys is really dealing with the issue of action research. Action research really opens up some possibilities for us that we have not had in the past, where we not only are engaging individuals in the communities in this research, but they are not only participating, but they are helping to develop it. One of the challenges we have as American Africans and other racial ethnic people in our various communities is, how do we as individuals benefit not only from research, but benefit from healthcare and an equitable healthcare system and an equitable healthcare policy? What I am really excited about is institutions that are a part of the health profession, allowing individuals not only to participate fully in the process, but to also gain the kind of knowledge and the kind of support systems that they need to deal with their particular problems within the spaces in which they live.
And I would say something that cut across all of our questioning with as we were exploring this with Shirley and Tyrone was this constant theme of dignity, respect, and humanity. And at one point I was explaining what it was going to be, and Tyrone just sort of paused and he was like, Anna, just remember that a piece of paper is not going to fix the lack of humanity in healthcare. And I was like, right. And so I think those sort of redirections, checks, big pictures, small language, that collaboration between our research team and Shirley and Tyrone really shaped the overall experience and the emphasis of the kinds of questions we ask, the ways in which we ask them, and it allowed us to sort of paint a fuller picture of the reasons why or why not people are engaging in these kind of conversations, and a better understanding of the barriers that exist to the kind of collaborative care and shared decision-making we would all wish for ourselves and absolutely for the people we love who have serious illness. On the Massachusetts Coalition of Serious Illness Care's webpage, there is a dropdown that says research, and the first thing you hit will be this research. And I would say that we're still sifting through so much of the findings. That's probably only the first 25% of the results, but it's there, it's free to use. And we encourage you to kind of like poke around and talk with us about it. So it's free and available on the Massachusetts Coalition for Serious Illness Care website.
Thank you for joining us today for the 2021 C-TAC National Summit. We have experienced some insightful thought, some serious motivation, and the underlying invitation to both extend and expand your relationship with the organization that is uniting 180 organizations in coalition to transform our healthcare system so that it will support transforming serious illness care. I'm Dr. Tamron Gray from Harvard Medical School, and it's been my pleasure to be a part of the day's program. Please join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the second day of the summit. Like today, it will be filled with both information and motivation. Be sure to tune back in tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. Thank you.